Your listening choice for GE2025. It's Money FM 89.3.
A lot of voices of conviction there. This is GE Tonight. We are joined by Dr. Reuben Ng, who is Assistant Professor at Kuan School of Public Policy, and Dr. Walid Abdullah, Associate Professor at Nanyang Technological University. Gentlemen, thank you so much for joining me this evening.
Thanks for having me.
All right, let's go to Tampines GRC. The Workers' Party is contesting in Tampines GRC for the first time. It's a four-way fight. Could this shake things up in a constituency that has been solidly PAP since 1988? Reuben?
What started off as a really gloomy day ended up with fireworks at noon. So it's been a really exciting day. And of course, Tampines is one of the really interesting hotspots. Now, Tampines GRC, when we look at four-corner fights, it's actually the first time in 30 years that we're having a four-cornered fight. So it's very unprecedented. I think it's good for democracy. I mean, compared to what's happening in Marine Parade when there's a walkover, essentially, right? You're waiting to vote, but in the end, you don't have a choice. So I think, on balance, this is good for democracy. What happened there, why there's a four-corner fight, it's anyone's guess. It could be egos, it could be the opposition parties couldn't get their act together, it could be sunk cost bias because I've been walking the ground, so I'll stay there. But I think we are going to see a very tough fight between the PAP team as well as the WP team, which Faisal Manap is going to be hitting. So very exciting match to watch.
And what do you think, Walid? What do you think this match might revolve around?
Yeah, I don't think we should be too concerned about 3 or 4 cornered fights. Voters will sort it out, and I'm pretty confident that the other two parties will not get back their deposits. Yeah, you can call me back on May the 3rd or 4th and let's see whether I'm right
or wrong.
So it will be between the PAP and WP, and I think Reuben is right. It's going to be Faisal is one of the 3 leaders of the WP. I think he's earned his stripes and his credibility. And also don't forget, Tampines is 25% Malay, the highest GRC. The proportion is the highest amongst the GRCs. So it will be significant, Faisal versus Masagos. This has happened in Parliament before as well, the clash of swords. The one thing I would say is, other than Faisal, the WP team is a good team, but it's a new team.
Exactly.
So I'm not sure how much of a challenge they can put up. We'll see. But maybe just to push back a little bit on your characterization just now, you said it's solidly PAP. I don't think that has been tested. In 2011, Mabautan's team got 56 plus 54 to 56%. So wasn't a clear victory. And in 2020 they got about 66%, but it was against the NSP. So it hasn't really been tested. People used to say that about the West, right? The West is solidly PAP until Tan Cheng Bock contested in West Coast. So we'll find out how solidly PAP it is this time.
I just want to pick up on that point. What would be a good win for the PAP? We've seen their percentage of popular vote drop to about 61.24% of the popular vote in 2020. So in your view, what would be a good solid win?
I think above 60% is an okay victory. Above 65 is very, very solid. I think PM Lawrence Wong can hold his head up high. Below 60% would be next to a disaster, I think.
And so anything below what we saw in 2020? Would you agree, Reuben?
Yeah, I think it's important to understand that incumbent governments have a lot of tailwind this year. Right? You see around the world, incumbent governments are being hoisted up almost, right? So different from a few months ago last year. So I think we're going to see incumbent parties winning quite well because of all this tailwind, probably past 60%. I think if they do win with less than 60% sort of margin, I think even though it's a win, it's not going to augur well for the ruling party.
Does the incumbent candidate have the same sort of advantage in 2025 as earlier elections, because we've seen the election stage expand now? And with social media, you can see and hear what the candidates stand for a lot more loudly and prominently than before. So has the unconscious bias perhaps towards the familiar been eroded by social media?
A little bit, I think. So it's harder to be an incumbent candidate in 2025 than it was in 2020. But it's still harder to be an opposition candidate in 2025 than an incumbent candidate. There's the incumbency advantage for all sorts of reasons. You get, as the government of the day, you get more access to the media. You're the main newsmaker, so you get all of these advantages that the opposition still does not get.
Okay, all right. Let's hear a little bit more from the Workers' Party slate on the ground in Tampines. I believe we have a soundbite. Okay, that's Ong Liu Ping, who is candidate for Tampines GRC, 48 years old there. Speaking of the voice of the Workers' Party, despite Workers' Party walking the ground for months, they've handed the PAP, the Marine Parade Brattle Heights GRC, without a contest. So, Reuben, what do you make of the Workers' Party decision? Was this a strategic retreat?
Well, I think a lot of people are very disappointed with that, right? It's not great for democracy when you have 200,000 young voters and a significant amount of them are maybe in Marine Parade GRC, right? So they've been waiting to vote, but they don't have a voice, don't have a choice. So I think that's not great. I think nobody's happy with that. But that said, I think the WP is in to win. So they are focusing, all their heavyweights and top guns in specific areas and not stretching themselves too thin. So that's probably the strategy that they're going with.
Do you think they're playing a conservative strategy, Walid?
I absolutely, and I think too conservative in the choices that they've made. I also feel, just like Reuben, I think it's disappointing for democracy that there are walkovers. I think they should have contested, and even if they couldn't win, I think it's just important to provide a contest. If nothing else, even not for the value of democracy, so that the PAP incumbents in Marine Parade wouldn't be spending time elsewhere campaigning for other people. You can imagine the more popular ones there would be spending time in other wards, and that would hurt the WP as well. But I'm sure they made those considerations as well. So I think it's definitely disappointing. It's very conservative in terms of the WP strategy. I thought that they tried to do a little bit of both, right? Send Faisal to Tampines, send their star new catchers to Punggol, when actually it would have made more sense, I think, to consolidate. Either Faisal go with Alia and Harpreet to Punggol, or they come to Tampines with him. But they are trying this, and who knows, as in on 3rd May, then we'll know whether Pritam is vindicated, right?
Now, aside from Minister of State for National Development and Home Affairs Faisal Ibrahim, there does not appear to be any heavyweight PAP candidates in the walkover district. Manpower Minister Tan See Ling is contesting in Choa Chu Kang instead. So did the WP make a mistake because Tan has switched constituencies?
Well, I think we need to understand the overall strategy. I think WP has momentum going from Sengkang to Punggol GRC. So the PAP needs to send somebody who can block the momentum, right? And nobody has that sort of veritas or gravitas as DPM Gan Kim Yong. Right? The last time it happened, they sent another DPM to East Coast, right? Heng Swee Kiat. So, DPM Gan Kim Yong, he has been fronting the COVID-19 pandemic task force, and recently with the terrorist task force as well, right? So he has a national prominence. I think he's hoping, the PAP is probably hoping that when he sends him there, he can stop WP's momentum. So I think it's sort of all this horse trading that's going on that we need to understand the context behind all these things.
With DPM Gan Kim Yong moving from Choa Chu Kang GRC to anchor the PAP's slate in Punggol, you're looking at a team made up entirely of returning candidates. How might this experienced lineup fare against the WP, all new candidates? So are we going to see a clash of seasoned team versus, pretty new faces, and could this then signal one of the most closely watched battles of 2025?
I think it will be. I think it will be second most close contest. I think first will be West Coast. I think those are the two that I'm really looking out for. Of course, Tampines as well, and there may be a couple others, but those are the three main ones. And this thing about DPM Gan Kim Yong, and I'm also worried about presentist interpretations, right? Because DPM Gan already led the COVID task force in 2020, so he had national prominence. He wasn't DPM, but in his relatively safe constituency, he got about 58%. So it's not as if that this is a shoe-in also. And even then, an even more popular DPM, I would say, Heng Swee Kiat, and the PM in waiting, it wasn't just DPM, PM in waiting barely scraped through East Coast. So I don't think it's as shoe-in as people are saying just because it's DPM. That I don't think that's a guarantee. And it goes to your earlier question as well, no heavyweight in Marine Parade. Well, it could be two things. One is it could have been a last-minute move by PAP as well, because they realized that there wasn't going to be a contest in Marine Parade. That's why they switched. But also, the votes are not always won by heavyweight ministers. George Yeo was as heavyweight as a minister could be, but he still lost in Aljunied. Faisal Ibrahim the Minister of State, and Tin Pei Ling, they are really vote pullers in terms of their groundwork. So when I had my first look at the Marine Parade team, the initial Marine Parade team, Tan Si Ling, Faisal, Tin Pei Ling, I thought that's a pretty strong team. If I were WP, I wouldn't send Harp Parade there. And eventually they didn't, but I think they didn't send any team there, which was a mistake.
Speaking of, people versus personality, do you think in 2025 the electorate is going to vote party first or personality first?
I think it's probably going to be party first. The reason is because we have a very short runway of campaigning, 9 days.
Yep.
Right. So it's very hard for us to learn more about the personalities and the candidates standing in different areas. So I think people are just going to be voting more for party rather than personalities. But that said, there are people who have bigger national prominence who may then sway. But I think it's pretty much party before persons.
Do you agree, Walid?
No, I disagree. So I think in our systems, it's always party plus candidate. So the nine days of campaigning, it has no effect on because it's not different to before, and so we can look at previous results, and we see that different candidates from the same party will get different vote shares. Taman will get much higher than somebody else. So it shows that Singaporeans have always voted based on both party and candidate, and this is not just unique to Singaporeans. Any system like ours it's called the plurality of first past the post system, people always vote for party and candidate.
Faisal Manap, incumbent Aljunied GRC MP. He's going to contest in Tampines GRC instead. Could that weaken the Workers' Party's chances to maintain Aljunied as a stronghold?
I don't think so. I think Aljunied is really for WP to lose. They've been doing a good job there. I think ground sentiments confirm that. And I think we have heavyweights like Pritam and Sylvia there. So I think if you take away one other heavyweight, which is the leader of WP, I don't think they think that's going to erode support very much. So I think that's a pretty safe seat for WP.
Okay.
Fully agree. Yeah.
All right, West Coast Jurong GRC was in PAP's narrowest win in 2020. It's now been redrawn to include 41,000 voters from vote-rich Jurong GRC. Now, with heavyweight matchups between PAP's Desmond Lee, PSP's Tan Cheng Bok playing out there again, how significant is this rematch? And could the boundary changes tilt the balance in either direction? Walid?
It could. The 41,000, I like how you characterize it, vote rich Jurong GRC. But we must also remember that was Jurong GRC led by Taman. So how much of it is a pro-PAP vote, how much of it is a pro-Taman vote? So that one, we just need to consider that 41,000 is not a guarantee that 70% of those will be voting PAP. That's all I'm saying. I think it's a very tight contest because the West Coast team, the PAP West Coast team has been weakened actually, right? Because Iswaran is no longer there. There's only one minister there. Yeah. Although Desmond Lee, by all accounts that I've heard from people living there, he's pretty popular there. But so is Tan Cheng Bok. And I would say PSP compared to 2020, they are stronger now. Leong Man Wai is more prominent. So is Hazel Pua. But it's still going to be a tough contest. As I said, incumbency advantage, but I think it will be as close as it gets.
All right. After 45 years of public service, Heng Swee Keat is stepping away from politics. And this is the man who helmed both education and finance levers of state at one point. So what impact do you think Heng Swee Keat's exit could have on East Coast GRC? And does this signal the passing of the final torch to Lawrence Wong's generation of leaders?
Michelle, that's really significant because if we think about it, Heng Swee Keat really was part of the 4G leadership. So I think it's unprecedented. You have a member of the 4G leadership retiring. So I think prior to this election, I think we can say that we have a 4G leadership, but we don't really have a 4G leadership team. So I think what Prime Minister Lawrence Wong is doing is that he's completing the 4G leadership team and bringing on a 4G team. I think that said also, he's also bringing in members of a potential 5G team. I think in the past we have seen that succession planning takes a very long time. You need a long runway. Sometimes there'll be hiccups along the way. So I think they've learned from that and they're probably bringing in people as early as possible.
Defence Minister Ng Eng Hen is retiring. Does this mean the SPP has a slightly better chance of contesting the PAP slate, now led by Transport Minister Chee Hong Tat, who steps into this anchor role following the retirement?
No.
Would you like to elaborate?
I think that is a PAP stronghold. SPP is not one of the stronger parties. So I think outside SDP, PSP and WP, I don't think the other parties are in a position to really challenge the PAP seriously, whoever contests there.
Okay. With Senior Minister Teo Chee Hean not contesting this GE, how do you think the PAP is balancing its message of leadership renewal with the need to reassure voters about continuity and experience?
That's a really interesting question now. If you think about it, they are bringing in so many potential young candidates, right? But actually, if you think about the demographics of Singapore, there's a bigger chunk of older voters now. Singapore is pushing super aged. 1 in 5 will be 65 years and above. So I'm not sure how this is going to play out. Yes, you want leadership renewal. You're bringing in a lot of young candidates, and then you have a growing older adult electorate. I don't really know how this is going to play out, what's the signal. But I think there is an eroding of the experience that have been garnered over the years. I'm not sure how this is really going to play out with an aging electorate, but with an overwhelmingly young slate of new candidates.
Do you have a view on this point?
Yeah, so I think PM Lawrence Wong is definitely trying to stem his authority. I think even one thing which is even more significant, removing quite a few first-term MPs, one-term MPs. And I think that is significant, right, in terms of him cleaning house. So definitely he is doing exactly what you're doing. On one hand, he wants to refresh the team or have his own team. On the other, Singaporeans still need some assurance, right?
Yeah.
So that's why Assembly is still there, and I think a lot of Singaporeans probably still want him to be there. Minister Shanmugam is still there, don't forget. So these are two stalwarts. So I think that's how he balances this.
Okay, I have so many more questions for you, but we have to leave it here for tonight. Dr. Reuben Ng, Assistant Professor at Lee Kuan Yew School of Public Policy, and Dr. Walid Abdullah is Associate Professor at NTU. Thank you both so much for joining me today.
Thank you.
All right. Show continues.
As Singapore heads to the polls, Money FM 89.3 brings you front row access to GE 2025 with insights from experts and analysis of the issues that matter to you. Stay ahead with Money FM 89.3.
As Singapore votes in 2025, the fight for voters' minds and hearts extends from physical rallies to the stage of social media across TikTok, Telegram, and Instagram. So it's a phygital battleground, apparently. And joining us now with his hand on the pulse of phygital is Joel Lim. He's host of the political Prude, here to unpack what's trending and how the digital discourse is shaping up. So, Joel, what's buzzing in the social media world today?
Well, it's buzzing indeed because social media was all alive today. So many different posts, so many different IG stories, Facebook comments going all around because it's nomination day. I have identified 3 things that I think really captured the attention of people online. The first one, of course, being DPM Heng announcing his retirement. And I think I saw a lot of people, expressing their opinions and heartfelt gratitude for him. First of all, I think a lot of us are taken by surprise or shock that he decided to, step away from politics after 14 years. I think a lot of us were also then reflecting and saying, oh my goodness, what's Singapore going to be like without him as DPM? Looking at his comments, he posted a video on both Facebook and Instagram, the same video. A lot of the top comments are, people thanking him for his service. I'm reading here on Instagram a comment from Isaac Ong. DPM Heng is a rare breed of leader, thoughtful, humble, and anchored in service. Thank you so much, sir. And another one here, just wishing him all the best, especially with good health and a happy retirement, quote unquote. On Facebook also as well, a lot of people, showing him, care and concern as well. Of course, we are aware of his health issues over the years. So, we see a lot of people coming out in support of DPM Heng and his announcement as well. Another one that I think a lot of people responded very much on social media was, of course, the WP, deciding not to contest in Marine Parade Brettle Heights, GRC. They did post an apology on both Instagram as well as Facebook to the residents of that constituency, explaining really what was the thought process behind that and why they decided to do so. Quoting, for example, the fact that they are a smaller, they have limited resources, and thus, had to make that decision.
Well, they also said there was a change in electoral boundaries. Did they score some political points in that apology?
Probably, I think so.
Okay.
Yeah, and when we look at the comments, most of their supporters are definitely sympathetic and also understanding of their decision. We see comments, for example, from Mac Chia here, is saying that it makes strategic sense. But of course, as we discussed earlier on the show, there were people who were kind of disappointed. One of the other comments here says that she's actually based in the UK and booked her flight to London to vote, and is very disappointed that she's not able to do so.
Yeah.
So we do see, general sentiments like that. But I think for the most part, their supporters are definitely more empathetic and understanding of their decision. The last one that I think I saw a lot of posts on and a little bit more lighthearted was Joseph Schooling showing up to be a proposer for Minister Edwin Tong's team. I believe he's in East Coast GRC. Maybe I can defect to Walid here. What exactly is a proposer?
I don't know.
It's my first time hearing the term proposer.
Yeah, so to be a candidate, you need one proposer, one seconder, and at least 4 assenters. So people who can attest to your character, whatever it is, who's supporting your nomination. So he was there to be the proposer, right? For Edwin?
Yes. According to
Straits Times, yes.
Yeah. So what does that actually signal?
Yeah, I think it's very interesting because it's part of this, I think, wider strategy of Friends of the PAP, right? Broadening their influences to this. Joseph Schooling is a national hero.
Absolutely.
But I don't know, I never take celebrity endorsements too seriously.
Now that you're a celebrity yourself. You say this, okay.
My first ever live was on Political Prude.
Hey!
So he's the one who made my show.
We go way back.
His first episode ever was with me. But if celebrity endorsements work, we would have a President Kamala Harris, right?
That is true. Well, looking at the comments, they're very, very funny, actually. One of the comments here, Tank Top Pianist says, for a second, I thought Joseph Schooling was a candidate.
Yeah.
I think a lot of people were like, wait, is he running?
Yeah.
And then one comment here that made me really laugh out loud. It says, did he offer free Milo to the volunteers? Because, he's a Milo ambassador. So, yeah, that's one, a lot of comments coming in that's quite funny on that piece of news.
People laughing out loud on social media as well.
Me laughing out loud when I read it. I was like,
30 seconds left on the clock, Joel. What
all
else are you
right, so
seeing?
I just want to say we also have been seeing a lot of videos of singing politicians. 4 candidates have come forward in media interviews, all singing, and I'm a little bit confused. But maybe it's part of their media strategy to stand out among all the other candidates. But for me, it's like I actually want to see other things, and I think I actually posted a video with Money FM today on their Instagram page talking about what we actually want to see from politicians this election. So maybe go check it out on Money FM's Instagram page. But yes, I think a lot of us are a little bit confused as to why everyone's starting to sing.
Oh my goodness me. Okay, so check out that video where Joel gives some suggestions on how politicians can up their social media game, right?
And relate to the people more.
Relate to the people. Love it. Thank you so much, Joel. And don't forget to check out his podcast, The Political Prude.
Yes, thank you.
GE2025, only on Money FM 89.3.
That's a wrap for day 1 of GE Tonight. Tomorrow we'll be diving into one of the biggest issues on voters' minds, and that is the economy. We'll be joined by Dr. Walter Teixeira, Assistant Professor of Economics at Nanyang Technological University, to talk about Singapore's economic landscape, from cost of living pressures, budget handouts, and so much more. Until then, don't forget to follow Money FM 89.3 this election season. We're on Instagram, we're on YouTube, we're on LinkedIn, and of course we're on the air as well. Thank you so much for listening. We've got exclusive clips for you. And thanks for spending nomination evening with us. Do join us again tomorrow from 7 p.m. I'm Michelle Martin on behalf of the GE Tonight team. Good night.
Tune in to GE Tonight at 7 p.m. every night on Money FM 89.3 for all the latest news and developments as Singapore prepares to head to the polls.